if you've been in the game for any amount of time, feel free to skip this video. This video, I mean, it's a good refresher, right? But this video is really for the people who don't know, like when I first bought my house, or when we bought our first house, I should say, I knew nothing about real estate, nothing. I was like, hey, this looks like a beautiful home, and I would love to live there with my wife and dogs. And, it was at the top of our budget, and like none of that matters. But we were like, cool, yeah, we could, if the bank says that we can afford it, cool, let's buy it. So anyways, yeah, very cool. So this is going to be real estate basics. I'll write this down. This is going to be real estate 101. Cool. So 101, this is really just about understanding the journey, I should say, right? So understanding the process of what it takes to buy a house. And there's probably like 5 key points to this. So the first one, I'll put this over here, is going to be pre-approval, okay? And even if you talk to an agent, you talk to anybody, they're going to tell you that that's the first thing you want to go do. You want to connect. And I'll talk about this down the line, but there are some key people when you don't go with a real estate agent, or even if you do, there are some key people who have your back throughout this process. And one of them is going to be your mortgage broker. So this person is going to go out and help you. They're going to make sure that you've got all your stuff in line, and they're going to make sure that you can afford to go buy a home. They're going to tell you kind of your budget, and then they're going to go get you pre-approved so that you have, their say that like, yeah, I could get you a bank to fund whatever loan you got, right? So this person is going to make sure that the money is present for you to go buy a house. They're also going to help you get stuff in line to make sure that the bank's process goes smooth. So that's your mortgage broker, pre-approval number 1. Basically, that's a whole different topic. You can watch videos on what it takes, or talk to a mortgage broker would be my number 1 piece of advice on what is involved with all that. Second thing is going to be actually searching. So I'll say house search. Okay. House search, everybody's favorite part, right? When we buy a house, when we're looking for houses, when you're looking for your dream home, I guarantee, there's the big 3. Okay. And this is honestly why, a big heavy reason as to why realtors just aren't super necessary in the buying process anymore is because of these big 3 platforms. I just flipped off the camera. That's freaking hilarious. Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor, right? So as you're like going through the process, you're going to be like me or my wife or my mom, who sends me listings all the time. She's not even in the market to buy a house, but you're going to be, you're going to replace your Facebook and Instagram, which are blue and red apps, right? They're going to be Zillow and, Realtor or something like that. Zillow and Redfin, whatever it is. And you're just going to scroll those things all day. You're going to be so hyped about buying a house. You're already going to be pre-approved. Somebody said, yes, you could go buy a house. You're ready for it. You've been saving up your money for a down payment, all these things. And you are just going to be scrolling all day, looking at houses, daydreaming about living in all these houses, right? And a lot of that is it's self-done. I mean, it's so easy to go out and find a house that's for sale these days. And specifically in the market that we're in, a lot of them are sitting. So you can find your own home very easily. That is not a big hassle. The third piece to this, is going to be the offer. Okay. So the writing the offer is really where the rubber meets the road, right, to your home buying process. Is you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. But it as far as making the offer, very, very easy. There's some key terms that the next module will teach you, but really all it is like, hey, here's what I want to pay for the house, right? Here's how fast I can close this transaction, right? Here's what I want to pay. Here's how fast I want to close this transaction. And here's what my earnest money will be, right? I'll get to those terms in a second. But ultimately making the offer is not that difficult. A lot, like 90% of the weight of the offer is just based around purchase price. Paperwork is all standardized. There's not a lot of thought that goes into it. Realtors don't even like talking about anything other than purchase price. So make it easy on yourself. Don't overthink making the offer. A lot of like the weight of this piece is understanding if you're doing this by yourself, like how to talk to another agent, how, or a seller, whatever, how to negotiate and dealing with the next process, which is going to be like your inspection and escrow process. So number 4 of really, like, we're talking about the transaction piece of this. I'll just call it escrow. That encompasses a lot of stuff. When the offer is accepted and the agent says, yes, my seller would like to accept your offer, boom, we're going to open escrow, right? So you would put down what's called an earnest money deposit. You basically say, hey, here's, average is like 1% of the purchase price, but let's just call it $1,000. Hey, here's $1,000 that shows I'm a serious buyer and am ready to open escrow. So the earnest money allows you to open escrow. And now what happens is a whole gamut of stuff. Basically, you have an inspection period where, because that earnest money can disappear but it doesn't, you get it back as long as you live within these contingencies. And we'll dive deeper into all this stuff, but really your escrow process is going to be on average, I would say 30 to 45 days, 30 being really the average. You're going to get your inspections done. You're going to get an appraisal done on this house. You are really, financing is the biggest piece that everybody's waiting on inside of the escrow process, is waiting for the bank to approve everything, because the bank takes their sweet time. They have their appraiser out there. They're running all their numbers, asking for a bunch of documents and all this stuff that the mortgage broker is going to keep them in check, right? The mortgage broker is going to handle them. He's going to let you know, hey, can you get me this? Can you get me that, right? So that'll be that. And then the last piece, we'll just put this down here, I guess, is closing. So closing is key point. This is where we're signing docs. We're doing all the fun stuff. We're at the closing table. We're popping bottles. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's really fun. So, everything's approved. You got the green light. Inspection came back clear. Your financing, got approved, and everything is hunky dory, right? So you're good to go. All you got to do is close. And closing is going to be, you're signing documents and you're bringing the rest of whatever the money is to for your down payment. You're bringing that to the closing table. You're sending that to escrow. They'll give you instructions. They'll lead you. Your title escrow officer will lead you through what exactly you need to do. But that's the overall process. And your home search is what's going to take the longest amount of time. Your home search can take you, I feel like if you're hitting it hard and you're trying to figure out, or you're trying to find a house pretty quickly, you're probably going to find a house within 30 days-ish, 30, 60 days. A lot of the times what happens is you get what you don't want to do is burn out on searching for houses. And so figure out your criteria, figure out what you're really looking for, and then make that home search a priority so that when you find one, you can make an offer and, get it accepted and open escrow. And I would say in total, the process, expect it to take anywhere from, I don't know, I guess like 2 to 6 months. It depends on how long you're looking for the house. I would say that's the longest part. And once you get the offer accepted, there's usually a back and forth that could take anywhere from a day to a week, depending on how it's going if you're doing counter offers and stuff like that. But once you get into escrow, 30, 45 days, you're closed, you get keys. So very cool, very exciting. Boom. So you're in your dream home. Next thing that we'll talk about, it really is like key terms and concepts, right? So I threw out earnest money earlier, but what are all of the key terms that I should know if I'm not going to be with an agent and I'm going to be talking with an agent? There's a few key things that I need to understand when I'm making that call, right? So we'll talk about that in a second.